I thought I could keep it hidden, that what happened in that room would never leave those four walls. But when I whispered for him to hurry, terrified someone might find us, his calm reply, "Don't worry," froze me to the core. Because in that moment, I realized the danger wasn't just about being caught, it was about how badly I didn't want to stop. It started on a night that was supposed to be ordinary. I hadn't planned for temptation, hadn't asked for it, but somehow it found me anyway. The house was quiet, too quiet, and my mind was restless. I kept telling myself I'd go to bed early, that I needed the sleep, but instead I lingered in the kitchen, in the living room, pretending I was busy when the truth was I was waiting for him. And when he walked in, everything inside me shifted. The air between us grew heavy, charged, and I felt my chest tighten, as if my own body was betraying me before anything even happened. He noticed, of course. He always did. The way his eyes lingered just a second longer than they should have, the way his voice dropped softer when he spoke to me. It was dangerous, and I knew it. But I didn't walk away. I stayed. And staying was the first mistake. He leaned against the counter like he belonged there, casual, relaxed, as if the weight of what was brewing between us didn't even touch him. But for me, every second was heavier than the last. I avoided his eyes, pretending to wipe down a perfectly clean surface, my hands shaking so badly I had to grip the rag tighter just to steady them. But he didn't let me pretend for long. "Why are you nervous?" he asked, his tone low, teasing, like he already knew the answer but wanted to hear me admit it. I forced a laugh, but it came out thin, breaking at the edges. "I'm not," I whispered, though the heat rising in my cheeks betrayed me instantly. He stepped closer, just a little, and suddenly the space between us felt like it was burning. My pulse hammered in my ears, louder than his voice, louder than the silence of the house around us. I should have moved away. I should have walked out of that kitchen. But instead, I stood frozen, my body refusing to listen to the voice in my head screaming for me to stop. And when his hand brushed lightly against mine, barely even a touch, it was enough to unravel me completely. That single brush of his hand should have been nothing, an accident, a mistake I could laugh off. But it wasn't. It lingered, intentional, testing how far I would let him go. I didn't pull away. That was my second mistake. His fingers grazed mine again, slower this time, and I felt my breath catch in my throat. The rag I was holding slipped from my grip, falling soundlessly onto the counter. I dared to look up at him, and the way he was staring at me, it wasn't casual anymore. It wasn't teasing. It was hunger, raw and undeniable. My chest rose and fell too fast, and my lips parted, though no words came out. I wanted to say stop. I wanted to say this isn't right, but my silence told him more than words ever could. He leaned in slightly, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from his body. His voice dropped to a whisper, steady, unshaken. "You know this doesn't have to end here." My heart pounded, so hard I thought it might burst. My whole body screamed for me to back away, to run, to shut the door on whatever this was becoming. But I didn't move, and that stillness, my silence, was the permission he needed. He closed the last bit of distance so effortlessly, as though it had been waiting to happen all along. My back brushed against the counter, leaving me nowhere else to go. His hand slid to the side of my face, thumb grazing my cheekbone, and the world around me seemed to collapse into silence. I should have said something. I should have stepped away. But instead, I froze, like a moth caught in the pull of the flame. And then his lips were on mine. The kiss was soft at first, almost tentative, as if he was testing whether I'd pull away. But when I didn't, when instead I found myself leaning in, his mouth pressed harder, hungrier, and mine answered with the same need. A sharp rush of panic coursed through me. Upstairs, someone could hear. Someone could walk down. Every second felt like playing with fire, and yet the fire was the only thing I wanted to touch. When I finally broke the kiss, breathless, I whispered the words that betrayed my fear. "Please finish quickly, before someone comes." He smirked, his eyes dark with certainty, and leaned so close I could feel his words against my skin. "Don't worry," he murmured. "No one's going to find us." But in that moment, I realized the danger wasn't just about being caught, it was about the fact that I didn't want to stop. His words sank into me like a promise I wasn't ready to hear. "Don't worry," as if everything was simple, as if we weren't standing on the edge of destroying something that could never be put back together. But the way his hand slid down my arm erased every thought of consequence. His touch was steady, confident, like he already knew I wasn't going to stop him. And the most terrifying part was, he was right. My breaths came in short bursts, uneven, as his lips trailed from my mouth to the curve of my jaw. Every brush of his skin against mine sent sparks racing down my body. I pressed my hands against his chest, meaning to push him back. But instead, my fingers curled into the fabric of his shirt, holding him there. That was the moment I knew I was lost. The silence of the house felt deafening. Every creak of the floorboards, every faint hum of the refrigerator, sounded like an alarm. I half expected footsteps to come pounding down the stairs, the door to swing open, for everything to come crashing down. But no one came, and with each passing second, my fear began to blur into something else. Something darker. Something I couldn't control. I whispered his name, not in protest, but in surrender. And he answered me with a kiss that stole away the last shred of resistance I thought I had. I knew this was wrong. I knew I should have stopped it. But in that instant, nothing else mattered except the way he made me feel. Desired, wanted, consumed. I let it happen. The world outside that kitchen no longer existed. It was only his breath against my neck, his hands exploring places I swore no one else would ever touch, and the pounding of my own heartbeat that drowned out every rational thought. I told myself I would stop him. I told myself I would draw a line. But the truth was, every second I waited made it harder to imagine ever letting go. His grip tightened at my waist, pulling me closer until I could feel the strength of him pressed against me. My lips parted, a shaky gasp escaping before I could stop it. And then, I bit down hard on my lip, trying to mask the sound, but it only seemed to drive him further. I whispered again, almost pleading, "Please just finish quickly, before someone hears." But instead of urgency, he slowed. His hand cupped the back of my neck, holding me in place as he looked straight into my eyes. "You're safe," he murmured, steady, unshaken. "No one's coming. It's just us." His certainty terrified me, because in that moment, I realized he was right. The world had fallen away, and nothing existed beyond the two of us and the storm we had unleashed. And though every part of me screamed that this was wrong, I still didn't move. I couldn't. I was too far gone. The kitchen light flickered faintly, and for a split second I thought it was a warning. A reminder of where we were, of what we were doing, of how easily someone could walk in and see everything. But then his mouth claimed mine again, harder this time, and the thought vanished in the heat of it. My back pressed firmly against the counter, my hands gripping its edge, so tightly my knuckles turned white. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to stop, to break free before it was too late. But the fire inside me drowned out every alarm. My fear wasn't that someone might walk in, it was that I didn't want this moment to end, no matter the cost. He pulled back just enough to look at me, his lips inches from mine, his breath ragged but his voice calm. "You don't want me to stop, do you?" The words hung between us, heavy and dangerous. My throat tightened, my mind begged me to lie, to say yes, to end it all right there. But the truth slipped out in silence. The way I didn't move, the way my eyes held his, the way my body leaned forward as though begging for more. And he understood. The danger, the thrill, the raw hunger, it all collided in that instant. I was past the point of no return, tangled in a web of desire so strong it smothered every last ounce of reason. And though I knew this would haunt me forever, I still let him take me deeper into it. When it was finally over, the silence in the kitchen felt louder than any sound I'd ever heard. My chest heaved as I tried to catch my breath, the weight of what had just happened pressing down harder with every second that passed. I pulled away, just slightly, enough to create space between us. But his hand lingered at my wrist, warm, grounding, as if he wasn't ready to let me go. And the truth was, I wasn't ready either. My lips were swollen, my heart still racing, and shame curled its way into my stomach like poison. I wanted to speak, to say this was a mistake, this can't ever happen again. But the words never came. Instead, he looked at me with that same unshaken calm, like he had known all along that this would happen. "Don't worry," he whispered again, softer this time, almost tender. But I did worry. I worried about the secret now burning inside me, about the betrayal I couldn't undo, about the fact that for all my fear, a part of me wanted more. That night, when I finally lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I replayed it over and over, the moment I should have walked away, the moment I begged him to hurry, the moment he told me not to worry. And though guilt wrapped around me like a chain, one truth refused to let go. If it happened again, if he reached for me the same way, I wasn't sure I'd have the strength to stop him.